There's a fleeting, silent moment of choice that arises when someone challenges you, questions your worth, your character, your intentions. It's the kind of moment in which most people instinctively do what they've been conditioned to do: defend themselves. I didn't mean it. That's not what I was trying to say. You misunderstood me. I swear I'm not like that. These responses sound sensible, even noble, a fair attempt at clearing one's name. But that moment, as Machiavelli understood, is precisely where everything unravels. The instant you begin to defend yourself, you reveal vulnerability. The very need to explain marks you as weak in the eyes of others. And in the realm of power and perception, that weakness is fatal. A single flinch, a reactive move, doesn't project innocence or justification. It signals opportunity for those who prey on hesitation. They don't see a victim deserving of empathy. They see blood. This harsh reality is rooted in an undeniable law of human psychology, one that Machiavelli grasped long before most others. To defend oneself is to cede power, to lower one's standing willingly. Conversely, the individual who refuses defense compels the world to fight on their behalf. Make no mistake, defending yourself almost never convinces anyone. It only reshapes the dynamic to serve the accuser. Justifying your actions inherently validates their challenge and grants them authority over you. You relinquish control of the narrative by stepping into the frame they've constructed, conceding that their judgment matters enough to warrant your explanation. Even when you're right, defending yourself rarely creates clarity. Instead, it leaves you looking guilty by default. Because in the harsh calculus of influence, it's not about truth, but perception. A game where only the weak scramble to explain themselves. The strong? They wield silence like a weapon. They let accusations hang in the air untouched, unacknowledged, knowing full well that the real power move lies in resisting engagement altogether. Turn the accusation into a reflection and make them question themselves. Shift the focus so they appear overly emotional, fixated, bitter, or unstable. After all, the one who speaks first often loses control of the narrative. Machiavelli understood this. Whoever commands the frame ultimately influences the outcome. Most people rush to defend themselves, yearning to be understood. They feel that if they explain thoroughly, clarify sufficiently, or repeat their point often enough, they'll be justified. But this impulse stems from emotional frailty, not tactical foresight. Seeking clarity is a psychological comfort. Seeking control is a demonstration of power. True power doesn't rely on understanding. It thrives on intimidation, respect, and invulnerability. When accusations come, arrogant, cold, selfish, manipulative, and your instinct is to respond with "No, you've misunderstood," you've already ceded control. Reacting means you've conceded that you care. You've placed the ball in their court and surrendered your most Machiavellian advantage: mystery. Reflect on the most powerful individuals you've encountered, not the loudest or most popular, but those who used silence as a weapon, who forced you into second-guessing with a single look, who remained unshaken under attack. Machiavelli would remind you, explanation is submission. Silence compels others to fill in the gaps, and they often overestimate you in doing so. This is the strategy. Withholding your reaction disarms them. Their discomfort grows as they scramble to interpret your silence. They begin to question their own words, scanning the room for validation, but find none. In that instant, their confidence diminishes while yours grows stronger. You've accomplished something they can't handle. You've turned their focus inward, making them confront themselves. This is how the dynamic shifts. Their accusation crumbles under the weight of its own fragility. Now imagine stepping into a room where someone throws shade, whether subtle or overt, a comment aimed at your success, your personality, or even your past. Attention swiftly pivots toward you, waiting to see your reaction. But instead of responding, you do nothing. No retorts, no smiles, no defensive gestures, just calm, unshaken stillness. And in that moment, you become untouchable. The silence becomes profound, forcing everyone in the room to question your lack of reaction. Why didn't they respond? What do they know that we don't? Are they above this? Did that jab somehow empower them? You've shifted the social frame entirely. While others fixate on the accusation itself, what truly captivates them is your response, or lack thereof. Silence, wielded with presence and composure, carries more weight than any justification ever could. This isn't new wisdom. Machiavelli understood it well. His mastery went beyond politics to psychology. He knew that power is not found in what you say. It resides in what others think you could say, but choose not to. For the ultimate finesse, consider elevating this approach further. Don't just disregard the accusation, invert it. When someone labels you as manipulative, respond with cool neutrality, smile slightly, look past them and say, if that's how you see it. The result? They falter. They were expecting confrontation, hoping to provoke discomfort or defensiveness. Instead, they're left awkwardly holding their own weapon with no target to strike. This reversal can unsettle them deeply. They start second-guessing themselves. Did they go too far? Have they embarrassed themselves? Do they now appear insecure? And the answer becomes evident to everyone around them. Yes, they do. You absorb the energy they direct at you, flipping the script without lifting a finger. There's a tipping point where silence becomes intolerable, not for you, but for the one anticipating a reaction. That's when the dynamic shifts. They assume the role of the accuser, but now they're exposed as someone clamoring for acknowledgement. And you've transformed into something much more than innocent. You've become untouchable. Machiavelli grasped a truth that eludes most. Words aren't tools to reveal truth, but to obscure it. When someone attacks, be it with subtlety or aggression, their goal is to draw you into the fog, to cloud your focus with emotional explanations. The more you explain, the less certain you appear. But when you counter this strategy with silence, everything changes. They are forced to fill the void, repeating themselves, overplaying their hand. They lose control, appearing desperate, unstable, even unhinged. You remain calm and say nothing. In that moment, judgment shifts, not based on what's said, but on who maintains composure and who falters. This is social power, not won by being correct, but by being untouchable. Take a business meeting, for example. Someone casts doubt on your strategy, offering remarks like, "I'm not sure that idea is fully thought out," or "He's known for chasing bold ideas." They're baiting you, seeking a reaction. Most people take the bait. They lean forward to explain, justify, or defend themselves. It reeks of nervousness, and the room picks up on it instantly. But a Machiavellian thinker? He leans back, waits, perhaps smirks. And if he speaks at all, his words redirect rather than defend. "Let's hear your strategy then." Now the instigator is on stage. They perform under scrutiny, and the room's focus pivots. This silent assertiveness is a form of accusation in itself. Without any words, it diminishes others and signals power. In romantic or personal relationships, this becomes even more potent. Imagine your partner accuses you with, "You don't care about me anymore." The average response is panic, followed by a flurry of reassurances and defenses. But this only validates their emotional frame of reference. The cooler approach? Let the accusation linger unanswered for a moment. Let them hear their own drama reverberate into the space. Then calmly respond with grounded simplicity. "That's not how I see it." Brief and firm, no explanations offered. Instantly, they feel unsure. Their tone seems overly dramatic in contrast to your self-assuredness. You've taken control of the emotional tempo, and whoever controls the tempo controls the narrative. There's an even deeper tactic: vanish entirely when accused. If someone insults you, don't react or respond. Don't even acknowledge it, but don't block them either. Leave them alone in the silence of your absence, as if confronting their reflection in a mirror. This disarms people in two profound ways. First, they realize they weren't even deemed deserving of your attention. Second, consumed by internal narratives, they spiral, losing composure and exposing their vulnerabilities. Silence here isn't just passive, it's razor sharp. The average person thrives on emotional validation, even during moments of conflict. When that validation is removed, they often struggle. They may spiral, post more frequently, reach out to others, or attempt to provoke a reply. Each effort reveals their desperation, making them appear weaker, more obsessed, and increasingly unbalanced. Meanwhile, you remain composed and unmoved. This is where the victory lies, not because you've made your case, but because they've unraveled in their quest to elicit a reaction from you. Here's the next level approach. When faced with an attack, don't engage defensively. Instead, turn their accusations into reflections of their own vulnerability. If someone calls you arrogant, reframe this as their discomfort with confidence. If they accuse you of being manipulative, suggest that only those who are easily influenced feel this way. If they say you're fake, point out how such claims often emerge when people don't get what they want. In doing so, you don't just deflect the criticism, you expose it as rooted in their insecurity. Now they're the ones scrambling to justify themselves. This isn't merely deflection, it's a calculated power move. You use their emotional momentum against them, causing a public unraveling. Machiavelli might call it the turn of the blade, not meeting the sword with a shield, but allowing the attacker to falter under their own aggression. Conventional wisdom insists on defending our reputation, explaining our actions, and clearing our name. But Machiavelli saw through this trap, understanding that the pursuit of vindication often implies guilt. The true strategist avoids playing this defensive game altogether. Instead, they remain too composed to be rattled, too elevated to entertain petty accusations, too secure in their position to explain it. Over time, those seeking to dismantle them only appear unstable and reactive, jealous and weak, while the strategist's silence amplifies their perceived strength. Because the more you defend yourself, the guiltier you appear. But the more you disregard, the more formidable you seem. And this is where true power begins to take shape. Many people associate power with the need to prove themselves, proving they're right, proving they're not defined by others' opinions, proving they're better than perceived. But Machiavelli would quietly laugh at that notion. The moment you attempt to prove anything, You've inadvertently accepted the validity of the other person's judgment. In granting them that validation, you're essentially handing over control. Imagine you're in a group setting, a dinner table, a meeting, any social scenario. Someone makes a pointed comment. You always act like you know everything. Or, oh, he's always like this. Humility doesn't seem to be your strong suit. What's the typical response? Most people become tense. They awkwardly laugh it off. Or, in a more damaging move, they attempt to explain, thinking they're salvaging their dignity. But in reality, they're signaling to the room that the jab landed a blow. By reacting defensively, they've inadvertently reinforced the credibility of the original comment. Here's what a Machiavellian approach entails instead. Pause. Let silence linger for just 2 seconds. Survey the room, not with aggression, but with quiet confidence and an air of amused detachment. Then, if you choose to respond, keep it minimal. Perhaps something calm and dismissive like, interesting mood you have today, or that's an unusual perspective. Or perhaps nothing at all but a poised, unwavering gaze. The predictable consequence? The instigator falters. They shift in their seat, fumble for support, or begin to stammer out justifications for their comment. Everyone feels the weight of your controlled silence. It flips the dynamic, making it clear that judgment has shifted from you to them. The same principle applies to digital interactions, though things escalate even more rapidly. Whether it's comments, posts, call-outs, or DMs designed to provoke you, Machiavelli's wisdom stays relevant. In the arena of public scrutiny, silence can speak volumes, but only if it exudes dominance rather than guilt. The game-changing tactic lies in mastering this calculated silence and wielding its commanding presence to reshape the narrative in your favor. Why are you coming after him? He didn't even respond, and you're still pushing. Suddenly, they become your shield. And what's better than defending yourself, letting others do it for you without asking? That's Machiavellian leverage. Let the crowd argue your case while you remain above the noise. Now you're not just respected, you're elevated. It doesn't happen overnight. You build it like a fortress stone by stone, by acting with restraint, by choosing stillness over reaction, by never explaining more than you must. Start here. Never correct insults that are clearly meant to provoke. Let them speak. Let them echo. Your silence tells the room that the insult didn't even register on your radar. Respond to indirect shots with calm confusion, not offense. Is that how you see it? Said, with total serenity. It dismantles the emotional energy behind their attack. Use short closing phrases instead of defenses. Noted. Okay, think what you like. Time will tell. Each one closes the door. It doesn't invite more debate. It ends the scene. Study how you hold your face, your body, your gaze. The Machiavellian never twitches, flinches, or tenses. Stillness is his armor. And the more still you are when others lose control, the more your power expands silently. When people don't know how to provoke you, they fear you because you become unpredictable, not erratic, but unreadable. A mirror that reflects their own instability back at them. Machiavelli would say, "The most dangerous man is not the one who attacks first. It is the one who never needs to." You will reach a point where the attacks stop, not because you fought them, but because people know they'll lose before they start. Your presence says, "I don't play defense. I let others destroy themselves while trying to reach me." There is a difference between strength and immunity. Strength still flinches, still reacts, still gets emotional even if it fights back. Immunity, it doesn't even acknowledge the hit. That's the Machiavellian ideal. You don't win the argument, You end the argument before it starts by never needing to answer it. Because when you no longer defend yourself, people stop seeing you as someone who needs to be put on trial. You're not on their level. You've moved beyond the court of public approval, and the only judgment that matters, your own. From this point on, you don't live in defense. You live in definition. You define your image. You define your tone. You define your silence. And people feel that. They feel the certainty behind your eyes, the calmness in your posture, the danger in your quiet. You're not resisting anymore. You're commanding. And that's when the room shifts. The crowd speaks less. Your enemies grow quieter. Your name carries weight. Not because you fought for it, but because you never explained it. Never defending yourself doesn't mean never speaking. It means speaking only when it shifts the power. When you say something, it should feel like a move, not a response. Because every time you don't explain yourself, every time you hold still while the world spins, you become the one thing they can't control. A man who answers to no